Senate is about Nigeria and Nigerians.
Senate received list of ministerial nominees set to commence screening. And new board of the NEDC comes on stream after Senate's confirmation. Hello and welcome to Inside the Senate, your window into the activities of the Red Chamber at the National Assembly. I am Aisha Muhammad Ahmed, your guide on the program. The much-awaited ministerial list was delivered to the Senate last week. This was the high point of the event in the week under review. Details of its reception is contained in this episode of the program. In other proceedings, the Senate considered matters of urgent national importance, including motions on natural disasters, the need to halt the proposed increase in electricity tariff by electricity distribution companies, amongst others. Stay with us for the report on the Senate's resolutions on these matters, alongside a summary of other proceedings, when Inside the Senate returns after the break. Do stay tuned.
We are fighting for this democracy. This country will definitely improve in terms of development and progress.
Nigerians deserve better living.
What is the team and the legislature, they are going to put in their best for a better Nigeria.
Thanks for staying tuned. The high point of activities last week in the Red Chamber was the communication of ministerial nominees by the President to the 10th Senate. The list of ministerial nominees was handed over to the President of the Senate by the Chief of Staff to the President of the Federation, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. The list of 28 nominees, which has 7 women, contained 4 former governors, namely Senator David Umahi, Nyesom Wike, Muhammad Badaru Abubakar, and Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai. Former senators as well as members of the House of Representatives and State Assemblies also made the list. Some of them include Senator Abubakar Kyari, Senator John Eno, Senator Sani Abubakar Naladi, Honorable Nkiru Onyejiocha, Honorable Olubumi Tunjiojo, Honorable Stella Okotete, and Honorable Uju Kennedy Ohaneye. Other names in the ministerial list are Abubakar Momo, Ambassador Yusuf Maitama Tugar, Architect Ahmed Dangiwa, Barrister Hannatu Musawa, Chief Uche Naji, Dr. Betta Edu, Dr. Doris Uzoka, Ekperikpe Eko, Bello Mohammed Goronyo, Dele Alake, Latif Fagbemi SAN, Mohammed Idris, Olawole Edu, Wahid Adebayo Adelapo, Mrs. Iman Suleiman, Professor Ali Pate, Professor Joseph Usev. Nominees from 11 states, including Lagos, Kano, Plateau, are still being awaited. According to the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, more nominees are expected from the executive. Meanwhile, Section 147, subsection 6, gives the Senate 21 days within which to complete the screening of the nominees for the ministerial office. Following this, the Senate has bent its rule to pave way for the screening to start on Monday, 31st of July, 2023. We will take a short break here to open our Senate's notebook. When we return, reports from plenary are next. Keep watching.
The legislative debate is a parliamentary procedure where parliamentarians deliberate on issues brought to the floor for legislative concurrence and approval. These issues may be motions, bills, or points of order, among other matters. After the sponsor of any of these matters has made his case, legislators are given the opportunity to deliberate in favor or against the issue brought up. After the debates, the presiding officer will seek the opinion of the entire parliament through a question, where those in favor will say yay and those against will say nay. Whichever side gets the majority will have the day and the matter will be approved.
Also note that in the last 20 years, the Ikiriakpomo and Gbenga communities.
In the week under review, the Senate considered a motion under matter of urgent public importance on flooding along Ibadan-Ife Expressway due to heavy downpour on Friday, the 21st of July 2023. It was presented by Senator Kamorudin Olarere from Osun West Senatorial District.
The Senate to know that the forecast of NIMET predicted that the level of rainfall in 2023 will be greater than that of 2022, and that over 180 local government areas in 32 states, including Osun State, fall within the high flood risk. Also note that in the last 20 years, the Ikire, Akpomo, and Gbenga communities have never experienced this kind of erosion that ravaged the communities due to a heavy rainfall between Friday 21st and Saturday 22nd July 2023.
In his prayers, the senator urged the Senate to urge the Federal Ministry of Works to immediately direct the contractor handling the Ibadan-Ife Expressway to, as a matter of urgency, proceed to the affected portion of the road to avert further damages and allow free flow of traffic. Urge the Ecology Office and Federal Road Maintenance Agency FEMA to equally urgently attend to the other affected areas in Ikere, Ikoyi, Akpomo, and Oyo communities, and further urge the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA to quickly send relief materials to the affected victims in Ikere, Ikoyi, Akpomo, Oyogbaga, all in Osun West Senatorial District. The motion was voted on and adopted.
3.
The Senate also considered a motion from the other paper sponsored by Senator Akintunde Yunus and 2 others was on the need to halt the proposed increase in electricity tariff by 11 successor electricity distribution companies, DISCOs.
The Senate observes that the 11 successor electricity distribution company, DISCOs, have filed an application for rate review with the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC. The request for rate review is premised on the need to incorporate changes in macroeconomic parameters and other factors affecting the quality of service, operation, and sustainability of the companies.
Senator Akintunde Yunus expressed concern that the proposed increase will significantly impact the affordability of electricity for the average Nigerian, further exacerbating the financial burdens faced by households and businesses, and that it is essential to address the issues of inadequate power supply, metering, and quality of service provided by the DISCOs so that consumers will not bear the brunt of inefficiency in the power sector. Some senators commented on the motion.
Distinguished colleagues, it is important to note that the removal of fuel subsidy has adversely affected the general prices of goods and services within the economy, with a very high rate of pass-through inflation. Electricity is one of the primary factors of production. An increase in electricity tariffs, as currently proposed, will increase the problem of the inflation and compound Nigeria's inflation crisis. While the pros and cons of subsidizing consumption can be debated every day, the benefits of subsidizing production is inherent. Vast multiplier effects in the local economy.
In January 2021, there was a 50% increase in the tariff of electricity. And in 2022, there was a further increase. And I do believe that if we do not make this motion and allow the federal government halt any further increase in the electricity tariff, it will definitely hurt our small enterprises, small businesses that so many Nigerians are surviving on right now.
We all know that many industries, many factories, many companies have relocated from Nigeria to even neighboring Ghana and Benin Republic here on account of our lack of energy. And Mr. President, as my colleagues are saying, I have had the privilege of providing about 4 or 5 transformers to my communities. And like they say, the DISCOs will not install them. But immediately you install with all the payments, they will come and take charge of the transformers. It becomes their property. Mr. President, as I am speaking to you, you have to go through all levels of rigors, even pay their staff to get these transformers installed.
Prayers for the motion were for the Senate to call on the federal government of Nigeria to intervene or the proposed increase in electricity tariff by the DISCOs. Also urged the National Electricity Regulatory Commission to thoroughly look into the rate review application filed by the DISCOs, taking into consideration the interests of citizens, affordability, and the need for improved service delivery. Motion further urged DISCOs to henceforth discontinue estimated billing and make available to all electricity consumers prepaid meters at affordable prices, among other recommendations. The motion was voted on and adopted, even as Senate President Godswill Akpabio also lent his voice to the motion.
Number 3. Industries cannot function without electricity. And even the poor households who are made to pay exorbitant bills as a result of estimated billing, I think this must also be brought to an end. So we frown on it, we condemn it, and we think that sanity should be brought into the sector. So what we have done today as a Senate is to suspend any further increase in electricity tariff until all the conditions stipulated in this motion are met. So I want to thank my distinguished colleagues for thinking of the public, because even this motion and the resolutions therefrom are actually ways and means of letting the poor people in Nigeria to breathe.
I feel very strongly about this.
Senator Solomon Adeola Olamilekan of Ogun West raised a point of order under matters of privileges, calling out Senator Adams Oshiomhole for his allegation against senators of the 9th Senate during an interview on Channels Television.
On this said program, a distinguished senator of the Federal Republic told the whole world that we looted our offices, that chairs, tables, televisions were carted away by the senators. I feel very strongly about this, and I believe my privileges have been breached. As one of the distinguished senators that served in the 9th Senate, Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, this is a very serious matter. The procedures are clear. At the end of our tenure, all the assets in our office will be verified by the management. We will sign for it. And if anything is not complied with, or any asset is missing, your severance payment will not be paid.
Senator Solomon Adeola Olamilekan called on Senator Oshiomhole to give an explanation for his statement or apologize publicly to the Senate and Nigerians for the same statement. Some senators also reacted to the point of order.
I equally read that statement in the social media, and I even thought that it is fake news. So I'm surprised that my colleague is bringing it here, which means that it is true. Mr. President, that statement is misleading. It's very defamatory.
All items in the office of each senator, every year such item depreciates to the tune of 25%. So at the end of 4 years, the book value becomes 0. So every senator is given an opportunity through formal letter written to each and every one of us. This is a tradition. A tradition every 4 years that's always done. Then you are given the right to either accept or reject the offer to purchase those items. So when you register your acceptance, you can now go away with those items. And you pay. You either pay through cash or through your severance gratuity.
On his part, Senator Oshiomhole explained that his statement was taken out of context. He also apologized to his colleagues over the matter.
In my view, what I did, and I'm happy it is recorded, at no time in the course of my reply to the allegation made by the TV host, at no time did I say that senators looted their office. I never said so. And I will challenge with respect to the mover of the motion to show that clip of the Channels television. What I said was this: I said offices were vandalized. And Mr. President, except that people didn't take our informal chat seriously, I've had calls in your office, in the office of the Deputy Senate President, and in other offices where we agonize over the state of our offices. If anybody got the impression that I accused the senators, that was certainly not the intention, and that was certainly not what I said. But for those who feel that that's my comment, which was meant to protect our collective image, was offensive, of course I apologize. Because I cannot leave the comfort of my home to go and abuse a house in which I am a member.
So thank the Senior Senator Oshomole for giving the Senate the opportunity to explain some of these issues because the public had no idea. And I think this also puts speed to all the speculations and discussions about 70 billion, because they probably did not know that the 70 billion was not palliative. It wasn't meant for rice for House of Rep members and senators. It wasn't meant for fuel. That what was there was real for replacement of items that had depreciated in value and had actually been boarded, and they needed to be replaced for the functionality of both chambers. And so I think it's also a good thing that this has afforded us that opportunity.
Thanks for staying with us. One of the high points of plenary last week was the confirmation of nominees for appointment as members of the Northeast Development Commission as requested by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Details of these as well as other motions and bills are contained in our next reports. Do stay tuned.
Major General Paul Tarfa, retired.
The nominees for confirmation as management and board of the Northeast Development Commission (NEDC) include General Paul Tarfa, retired, reappointed chairman from Adamawa State; Honorable Gambo Meikomo, member from Taraba State; Abdullahi Abbas, member from Kano State; Serves Stephen Aundona, member from Benue State; Chief Motiu Lawalare, member from Lagos State; Honorable Samuel Ifanyu Nuigbo, member from Abia State; Frank Achineke Ower, member from River State; Mohammed Goni Alkali, reappointed managing director from Borno State; Musa Yashi, a reappointed executive director of humanitarian affairs from Bauchi State; Ahmed Abdusalam Yahaya, executive director OPS from Gombe State; Dr. Abubakar Garba Ilia, executive director administration and finance from Yobe. Senators of the benefiting region also lent their voices to the screening process.
No money is spent by the nation except in a manner prescribed by the National Assembly, and I want you to take that particular clause very, very serious. No money should be spent until it's done in a manner prescribed by the National Assembly.
There was overbearance by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. This commission is not set up for the ministry. It's set up for the people of the Northeast. And I will advise here that the projects, the programs, must be programs and projects that are initiated by our states.
The nominations were reverted to the Committee of the Whole and approved by the Senate.
The ayes have it.
The Senate also considered another motion by Senator Isuna Azor Osita and 14 other senators of the Southeast region. It was on condemning the disruptive nature of sit-at-home demonstrations in the Southeast Nigeria.
The Senate is aware that thousands of innocent lives have been lost since this action of sit-at-home in the Southeast started, and properties worth over $1 trillion have been destroyed, which has resulted in investors leaving the region.
The senators prayed that the Senate condemn the sit-at-home in totality as well as the nefarious activities of Simon Ekpa, who is the gang leader. Urged the federal government to collaborate with the Finnish government to extradite Samuel Ekpa for possible prosecution and invite the Minister of Foreign Affairs, when appointed, and relevant stakeholders to carry out thorough investigation as well as bring other sponsors of the act to book. Additional prayers were proposed, and they include that the Senate urged the federal government and security agencies to apply, among other measures, the use of technology in fighting the menace of sit-at-home and track the location of the culprits. Observe a minute's silence in honor of those who lost their lives to the activities of terror in the southeast. The motion was voted on, adopted, and a minute's silence was observed in honor of those who lost their lives to the activities of terror in the southeast.
Who have lost their lives to rest in perfect peace. Amen.
We conclude this episode of Inside the Senate with our profile segment. Our Senator of the Week is the Deputy Whip of the 10th Senate, Senator Lola Ashiru. Let's get to know him.
Senator Lola Ashiru was born on the 14th of June 1955 in Offa, Kwara State, Nigeria. He attended Iyeru Okin Primary School, Offa, before proceeding to Esia Iludun Anglican Grammar School in 1968. He completed his secondary education at Federal Government College, Sokoto, in 1974 and later studied environmental design and architecture at the University of Lagos and graduated in 1980. Senator Ashiru started his career as an architect and worked with several firms before establishing his own company, Ashiru Associates. Having run for office on multiple occasions in 2018, Senator Ashiru declared his intention to run as senator representing Kwara South Senatorial District in the 2019 general election on the political platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. In August 2018, PDP members in Kwara State, including Senator Lola Ashiru, decamped to the All Progressives Congress, APC, and on 23 February 2019, Senator Ashiru was declared winner of the senatorial election. In the 9th Senate, Senator Lola Ashiru was Vice Chairman, Senate Committee on Housing, as well as Vice Chairman, Senate Committee on Public Procurement. Senator Lola Ashiru won his re-election bid into the 10th Senate and was appointed the Deputy Whip of the Senate on 4th July 2023.
This is where we end this episode of the program. Like I mentioned earlier on, the Senate will commence screening of ministers this week. Inside the Senate will bring you a comprehensive report in our next episode of the program. Thanks for watching and God bless Nigeria.